Welcome back to Time Serve, the channel that scans the docket so you don't have to. I'm filming today in Travis County, Texas. The 455 District Court holds a custody hearing that covers topics that I promise you have never heard before. There are claims that mom shaved the daughter, but it's true. Dad and stepmom have made endless unsubstantiated claims against mom, and the guardian at litem, Ms. Bartlett, has serious concerns when the daughter is in dad's care. Oh, what a tangle web we weave when we are scorned, and these two parents seem to have many unresolved issues that pit their innocent child in the middle. I promise you, this is one for the books. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, set your notifications to all, and never miss the daily docket. Court is now in session. Let's roll, nerds.
Significant concerns that I have about the emotional and physical well-being of my client, Gisela Lopez, when she is in the unsupervised care of her father, Mr. Brigito Jacob Lopez. I am extremely concerned about repeated attempts at making false allegations against the mother in this case, causing her to be investigated over and over and over again by the Department of Family and Protective Services. And most recently, the most concerning incident yet of Mr. Lopez and his wife taking the child to the emergency room at Dell Children's Hospital for a stain exam based on allegations of sexual abuse by the mother toward my client. I have spoken with numerous individuals, including the detective assigned to this case in Austin, as well as the Department of Family and Protective Services, multiple investigators, and the therapist for the child. And based on all of the conversations that I've had, and based on observing my client while in the care of Mr. Lopez or his wife, the stepmother of my client, and observing the behavior of my client while in the care of her mother, Cela Rivera, I am very concerned about alienation, failure to exchange the child, and ongoing attempts to cause disruption in the child's relationship with her mother, and in doing so, resulting in physical and emotional harm to my client, Gisela Lopez. I have uploaded into Box a therapy summary from her individual play therapist with whom she has been meeting regularly for the past 2 weeks, and prior to that was meeting regularly for approximately 6 months during the CPS portion of the case. And I am asking the court to order that Mr. Lopez have only supervised access to Gisela 1 weekend per month, either on a Saturday or a Sunday, supervised by an entity such as Planet Safe, or an individual who has experienced supervising parent-child interactions, to be paid for by Mr. Lopez. And that can be either in the Abilene area where the mother resides or in the Austin area where Mr. Lopez resides. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, let me first start off, because both parties are representing themselves here today. I want to at least admonish both of you equally to say that there is a record being made of this case, and any statements that either one of you make are going to be under oath. And so I caution you that obviously if you were to make a statement that incriminates you for some sort of conduct that could be construed to be criminal in nature, that whatever you say in this proceeding might be used against you in some subsequent matter, criminal case referral to you with regard to abuse, neglect, things of that nature with regard to the harm of the child. Based on the accusations that Ms. Bartlett has outlined that you have. So with that understanding, before we start with either one of you, Ms. Rivera, Mr. Lopez, Let me start with you, Ms. Rivera. Is it your intent to testify or provide any evidence today?
It is my intent to make sure that Brigido Lopez gets supervised visitation because I have concerns.
Okay. I take that as a yes to my question about testifying. Mr. Lopez, you understand my admonition that I just mentioned. Is it your intention to testify or provide any evidence today?
Yes, sir. I do intend to provide evidence and testify, but the evidence am I allowed to provide because I had an email at 7 o'clock stating from Tiffany Bartlett that I had a window to preside evidence at 5 o'clock, and it was already past that window.
Well,
So
I'm talking about the hearing today.
Yes,
For purposes of the sworn hearing. So I need both of you to raise your right hand and let me get you both under oath. Your right hand, not your left. Each of you do solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this cause now on trial should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
so I do.
Ms. Rivera?
Yes, I do.
All right. Ms. Bartlett, do you have witnesses or testimony you wish to elicit?
Yes, Your Honor, I would like to call Stella Rivera to testify.
All right. And so you know, I was able to access your the Dropbox file. So I have that summary notes as well available if you end up needing those.
Yes, Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to offer attorney ad litem Exhibit 1.
All right. Exhibit 1's admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Could you please state your name for the court, Ms. Rivera?
Stella Lynn Rivera.
And how are you related to the child in this case?
I'm her mother.
And what concerns do you have that have been occurring with regard to exchanges with your daughter and Mr. Lopez over the past 3 months?
The false allegations, him texting me and calling me a bitch, and just always making me and not meeting me halfway. I'm having to go all the way to Austin to pick up my daughter, even when it's court ordered.
How many times has Mr. Lopez, since the conclusion of the CPS involvement or them as a petitioner in this case, how many times has Mr. Lopez failed to present Gisela to you according to the court orders?
To March court orders?
Yes.
3 times.
And what additional concerns do you have with regard to Mr. Lopez when your daughter is in his care?
That she is being coached, that he's getting so desperate that he would actually harm my daughter to show proof with whatever he's saying, because I just don't know what else to think, because everything that he is accusing me of is not true. And I'm like, you have to show proof of that. And, I'm like freaking out, because I'm like, if he shows proof, I know for sure when I leave my daughter with him, she's in good health, then I'll know for sure that he's doing that himself. And that is my...
Sorry, what allegations did he make specifically during his last possession period with Gisela? Do you recall?
So it first started out with me shaving her whole body when I only shaved her back. And that's actually what he only texted me was, why did you shave her back? And I was like, I'm her mother, like she was safe, like we both agreed to it. It was nothing like it was not a bad experience. Like it was just a little patch, and even in the picture that he presented, like you could see the little patch that was missing. And that's all he had told me. And then, then it started saying, then he started saying it was all her whole body, including her private area, which that is impossible. And then it started getting worse to where she had cuts all over her body, healing cuts. And then it also got worse, and all of a sudden, supposedly sexual, touching my daughter in her private area.
How old is Gisela?
Gisela is 4 years old.
And can Gisela carry on a conversation?
Yes, Gisela can carry on a conversation.
Is she enrolled in school?
She is.
And what is the name of her school?
Long Early Learning Center.
Okay. And is Gisela engaged in individual play therapy?
She is.
And who is her play therapist?
Nellie Tillman.
And for how long a period of time has Gisela developed a relationship with this particular therapist?
I want to say now about a total of 8 months.
And is it your understanding that the therapist is concerned about domestic violence, which may be occurring in the home of Mr. Lopez and his wife, Wanda?
Yes.
And when you have observed Gisela during visitations that you have had virtually with her, how has her demeanor and behavior appeared to you while in the care of Mr. Lopez and his wife, Wanda?
When I communicate with Gisela while she is over there with her stepmom, she seems very uncomfortable to talk to me. She seems like she's not really able to free out. Her spirit is low. That's the best way I can describe it. Is she's just very like in a somber mood, which is not my daughter, because my daughter is like a firecracker. She's loud, she's silly, she laughs, she talks, she's very confident, but that's not her demeanor. Is that the right word? I'm sorry. That's not her, energy when she's over there. So it actually makes me very uncomfortable, but there's nothing I can do while she's over, in his care.
What is her demeanor and behavior like when she's in your care?
Like a firecracker. She's very loud, outgoing, very sassy, very playful. She's great. She's like a kid. She's like a brave little girl. She's just ready to, lots of energy.
And did Gisela undergo a Children's Advocacy Center interview, a CAC interview last week based on the allegations of sexual abuse by Mr. Lopez and his wife against you?
Yes.
And what was the result of that? Did she make any outcries to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, she didn't make any outcries.
Okay. And have you been in frequent contact with the Department of Family and Protective Services investigators regarding these latest allegations of sexual abuse?
Oh, yes. Every time they come, I'm very, cooperative. I answer all questions. They interview my child alone. I leave the room. I have, I make sure I do what I need to do to ensure that my daughter is safe, wherever, with me or with dad, but I know for sure she's safe with me 100%.
How many times, if you can estimate, how many investigations have there been since March of this year by the Department of Family and Protective Services based on allegations made by Mr. Lopez and his wife?
Since March of this year, I want to say, I believe only, I want to say 2 to 3 times. But since I've had her in my care, that's another story.
Since you've had Gisela in your primary care, which occurred while the CPS case was ongoing, how many investigations have there been?
Since I got Gisela back August 12th, I've had a total now of 15 intakes.
And to your knowledge, has every single one of those investigations been ruled out by the department?
Yes.
Do you feel that Mr. Lopez and his wife are harassing you and Gisela with these investigations?
Yes. Yes.
What kind of an effect does it have on your home life?
It's basically, really affecting my financial. I'm having to call into work. I'm having to, reschedule things. And during April, she missed her therapy appointment. She missed a week of school. I'm just saying, like, when he takes her from me and doesn't bring her back, court ordered, and, just all this harassment. Like, I don't want this to be normal for my child to meet, with CPS every few weeks or every few months, or people, that's just, I understand I've had CPS cases, but I'm trying to move on, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And I'm not able to, being harassed by Jacob and his wife, Wanda.
During the last visitation period that Gisela had with Mr. Lopez, how long did he keep her beyond the court orders?
Can you repeat that question? I'm so sorry.
During the last possession period that Mr. Lopez had, for how long did he keep Gisela from you in violation of the court orders?
So he had his weekend visit on a Friday, and I didn't get her back until that Friday. And it was granted that he bring her all the way to Abilene by 8 p.m. on the 21st of July, but he actually didn't bring her. I had to go pick her up in Austin.
And prior to that possession period, what was the last time that Mr. Lopez in the last few months kept Gisela and did not return her to you according to the court orders?
So when we initially came back to court after final orders were signed in March, he brought me right back to court. He had her again for the same amount of time, like a whole Friday to Friday. And it was ordered to bring her back. And then it's happened again. And he kept her Friday to Tuesday.
Okay. So for the last two possession periods, Mr. Lopez has kept Gisela for at least 2 to 5 days beyond the orders. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes. Sorry.
And has Mr. Lopez been abiding by the child support orders in this case?
No, he has not.
What has
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Continue, Ms. Bartlett.
Thank you, Your Honor. What amount was Mr. Lopez ordered to pay beginning in January of this year?
He's only ordered $200 a month.
And has he paid any child support at all to you to benefit Gisela since that order was made?
No, he has not.
Okay. Now, why do you believe that it would be in Gisela's best interest for Mr. Lopez to have only supervised contact with her at this time?
I believe it would be in Gisela's best interest because he cannot bring her back in time. I don't know what's going on over there. And by the looks of when I FaceTime her, I can read my child. It just doesn't seem like she's in good spirits or whatever's happening in the house. It's just, her energy is off to me. She's not the same child. And whatever allegations, he makes towards me, I would have, because I know she's in good health. I know that he wouldn't be able to say make up these things, because there would be mandated reporters supervising, that would see my child as well and see the condition she's in. So I feel like it's best for my daughter's, well-being.
And how concerned are you about the elevation of the allegations that appears to be occurring from Mr. Lopez and his wife?
I'm very concerned. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And it just scares me, because I'm like, they keep accusing me of all these things, and it's scary because I know it's not true, but I'm like, are they doing this to my daughter? Like, because you have to show proof. And that's just what scares me, because I know there's no proof, but that's what scares me, is like, I don't know what else to think. Like, maybe he would do it or she would.
When you say that, can you clarify what you mean by that?
I mean, the cuts all over her body. Like, I don't know if they would do that, or, shave her whole body, because I know her body wasn't, shaved. I know, I only shaved that little piece of her back, and, and then the sexual abuse. I'm like, I just want to make sure my daughter's okay and safe.
And is your intention to keep Gisela engaged in weekly in-person play therapy with Nellie Martin until she is successfully discharged and no other concerns are ongoing?
That's correct. We're going to come up with a treatment plan. Me and, Nellie's going to let me know the treatment plan, and she says it takes about 6 months. So I do plan on continuing that with Nellie. Gisela Lopez, she loves her play therapy visits. So it's good for her.
And according to Nellie Martin's therapeutic recommendations that are contained in the summary of visits, therapeutic visits that she's had with Gisela, is she recommending only supervised contact with Mr. Lopez at this time?
You know what? She didn't tell me the notes, but I do know when we were speaking to each other, she did mention that she was concerned about visitations with dad, but I didn't read the notes yet.
I think they're saying therefore hearsay. Oh, it's hearsay.
Your Honor, Attorney ad litem exhibit number 1, which has already been admitted into evidence, I would ask the court to take judicial notice of the last couple of paragraphs in that summary, which indicate the therapist is recommending supervised only contact with Mr. Lopez. And I'll pass the witness.
You're muted, Judge.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was sitting there talking to Miss Rivera and didn't realize I was muted. Miss Rivera, now that Miss Bartlett has finished her questions, is there any additional information that she may not have asked you that you believe I need to know?
And yes, can I say that I do not feel safe meeting with Mr. Lopez because it's late at night at this time as well. And he's texting me, calling me out of my name. And he is my offender.
Okay, anything else?
That is all, Judge, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Lopez.
Yes, sir.
Where it's yours now, you can have 2 choices at this point. Number 1, I will give you an opportunity to ask Ms. Rivera any questions that you may want to ask for her to answer, but you need to understand, we run into this in every case where folks represent themselves. They'll ask a question, they'll not get the answer they wanted, and they'll want to argue about it or start making other testimony or talking about it or whatever. That's not the way that works. You ask a question, you get an answer, you follow up with another question.
Yes, sir.
And so there's that. And then in addition to that, you'll be given an opportunity to testify on your own as well. So let's start off with, first, do you have any questions of Ms. Rivera at this point?
Yes, I do.
All right. Remember, ask a question, wait for the answer to come, and then follow up. Please proceed.
Yes. The question is, all our conversations are recorded on AppClose, are they not?
Define
Yes.
what you mean by recorded.
Because we have AppClose, and that's the way I communicate. That's the only way I communicate with her. So I'm asking her conversations on AppClose, and she's stating yes.
Yes, that the is are recorded, but
Thank you.
Y'all are talking over the top of each other, and the court can't. The number 1, it mutes you out, and I can't hear the testimony. Number 1, and number 2, the court reporter can't get it down. So again, Ms. Rivera, when you're asked a question, answer specifically what you're asked. Don't add to it. Don't re-embellish it. Don't do anything else. And you'll be given an opportunity to either complete an answer if you feel like there's additional information you need to give, or Ms. Bartlett will also be given an opportunity to ask more questions. All right, Mr. Lopez, your next question.
Yes. Next question is on July 14th, when I text her, did I text you, why did you shave my daughter? And your statement is, I'll do whatever I please.
That is wrong.
Okay. And my next question is, when I supposedly held Gisela from you, did I allow you to FaceTime and phone call Gisela throughout that time that you did not have her? I had her in my possession.
Yes.
And the time that I had restricted from having her, have you FaceTime me or anybody phone called me with Gisela when I requested multiple times? Can I talk to my daughter? Can I video chat my daughter?
Well, right now you have a restraining order against you and Gisela, so that's not allowed.
Okay, but prior to that, have you ever FaceTime me when I asked?
Yeah. Yes.
And it's all written down on App Close too, right?
That's right.
So, all right. So, and also too, the alleged thing I give you, is it documented on App Close too? Since that's the only conversations we have.
I'm sorry,
Wait.
the alleged what? You cut out.
I said the alleged cursing and threatening that I'm doing is recorded on App Close, since that's the only conversations we have on there, right? So you'd
Right.
be able to provide that evidence, right?
That's right.
Okay. And also too, the alleged me calling CPS on you numerous times. Are you and Miss Crouch Bartley able to provide evidence that that's me as well?
It's just suspicious since I've had my daughter back. I've had a total of all my life only 19 calls, but out of those 19, it's been 15 calls since August of 2022 since I've gotten Gisela back.
So you have proof that each 15 calls is me. You and the Crouch Bartley have proof it's me.
It's suspicious. The proof that I have is the same allegations that you're saying through App Close are the same intakes that are coming in. So yeah.
No, ma'am. My allegations are documented from Gisela.
Okay, this isn't your turn to testify. These are questions.
Yes, sir. Yes. Okay. Also on July 1st, 2001. On July 1st, 2001, did you not make a post on Facebook that states, when I cuddle, I get horny, and then you tagged my daughter's name in it, which I have a video proof, a photo proof as well. Did you not make that post on July?
I would never make that post on Facebook.
Okay. So somebody else just used your Facebook and put your post. It says, "Hey, I get horny when I cuddle," and it tags Gisela in there with her name. And I
posted that on Facebook and for the world to see.
Just a yes or no. Yes or no. All right. That'd be it. Also, as well, when I picked her up on 14. So, on June 19th on App Close, I stated to you, June 19th, 2023, I stated to you that Gisela made an outcry saying that she sleeps in Fabian's bed. And I made multiple outcries for you not to have Gisela around Fabian Lopez, who is a sex offender. Your statement on App Close was, "I'll do what I want." Is that not correct?
I don't recall.
Okay, on Father's Day weekend, when I was supposed to get Gisela,
you got her
on Friday. I did not get her on Friday. I got her on Saturday.
That's correct. And
the reason being, I was supposed to get her Friday. And the reason being, you said that you were taking her to Slitterbun. Is that correct or not? With Fabian Lopez.
Yeah, Miss Rivera, let him finish his question. You're starting to answer before he's done, and then that mutes the two of you out, and we can't hear either one of you. So let him finish. You answer. He'll let you do a complete answer, and then he can follow up with another question. All right, okay. Mr. Lopez, go ahead.
Is Fabian Bobby Lopez a SOR sex offender for life?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have Gisela around Fabian Lopez?
No,
Have you had Gisela around Fabian Lopez after I warned you multiple times not to?
no,
So Father Day weekend, you weren't at Slitterbond with Fabian Lopez, Kim Lopez, Andy Guerrera, and his wife, Coco, when I was
we
supposed to have a
we
session?
were at on with Kim Lopez.
I have proof pictures of that.
You're talking, you're not asking questions.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry about that. Okay. Also too, on July 14th, when we were supposed to meet at 6 o'clock, did I not pick up Gisela at 6:35 in Goldway? Yes
I
or no?
believe
Okay. And so on App Close, every time we visit, each time we communicate, and I text, I'm here at the location that I'm supposed to be at. So every time that you state that I'm late or I miss a visit or I'm not coming, you have the proof. Do you have the proof on App Close, since we communicate only on App Close?
what are you saying?
The allegations you say that I'm not showing up on time and I'm not bringing Gisela. All our communications are on App Close. So you and Tiffany Bartlett state that I'm not bringing Gisela and I'm holding her back. All that information's on App Close, so you can present that on App Close.
Yes.
And you would be willing to present that?
Yes.
Okay. And the last time that I had Gisela, did I notify you that I had no car, that I had car problems, my car transmission had gave out?
Repeat that.
Last time I had Gisela, before the incident had occurred, did I state to you that I had car problems and my transmission had went out?
You stated you got into a car accident.
No. Okay. That's it. That's enough.
All right, Ms. Bartlett, we're going to go back to you, ma'am. You're muted, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Thank you. Ms. Rivera, has Mr. Lopez been convicted of assault, family violence against you?
Yes.
And was he convicted within the last year of assault, family violence against you?
Yes.
To your knowledge, did he plead guilty to those charges?
Yes.
During your relationship with Mr. Lopez, was he frequently violent toward you?
Yes.
And is this some of the concern that you have that your daughter may be witnessing domestic violence in his home when she is visiting him, between he and his wife, Wanda?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, back to you, Ms. Rivera. Was there any additional testimony you wish to make?
No.
All right. At this time then, Mr. Lopez, we're back to you with regard to testimony that you wish to bring on your own. Is there some testimony that you have that you would like to tell me about, or you think I need to know about at this point?
Yes. Basically, I've had, my name is Brigilo Jacob Lopez, of course, no. I've had my daughter since she was 9 months, all the way till she was almost 4 years old. Yes, I do have a domestic violence case that I did plead out to due to being pressured to some people in this courtroom. And, but that was in 2017, which I found irrelevant because my daughter was born in 2018. And the only thing I'm got to say here, man, is I've did everything that I could for the safety of my child. I have multiple recordings of people telling me if I returned her back, that I would be held liable. My daughter made an outcry without me or my wife being inside the room. I have documentation from the clinic, which I gave Tiffany Bartlett plenty of copies of. I had multiple people, statements from multiple people, which Tiffany has access to, which she has not investigated, has not brought forward. I just don't understand why I'm being held against my daughter for doing the right thing. I took her to an ARC clinic. ARC clinic referred me to Dale's Children's Hospital. I didn't know about her being shaved on the lower regions till they did an exam on her and they saw the dry cuts, the old cut marks. I cannot make existing old cut marks. I will not touch my daughter in that kind of way or manner. As you can hear from Tiffany Bartlett, I'm an overprotective father. So for that to even fathom in the mind is insane. All I wish for the court today is to just the safety of my child. Just please listen to that child. If you listen to that child will speak volumes. And if I get granted supervised visits, I've done it already. Tiffany Bartlett, she put me in supervised visits before. I've done it. For a father that has 0 CPS records, fighting for somebody that has multiple CPS records, I don't see it in anybody's right mind why a father should be supervised for protecting his daughter and trying to do what's best. I can't do it again. I'm not going to be able to do supervised visits. I would just plead out. I mean, I'll just try to fight to the fullest until I get my day in court. But that's pretty much it, man. I'm just here to speak for my daughter who's nobody's listening to. And I've given multiple times for Tiffany Bartlett to come communicate with me, come to my house. And I don't know what friction we got going on here and why every time I try to communicate with her, she comes to court and saying that I'm cantankerous and I'm not communicating. It's beyond me. I just don't understand. For a father that's done everything for his daughter and raised her from 9 months to almost 4 years and have everybody in CPS tell me, oh, I'm a great father, oh, I'm doing this. And then for a lick of a split second, her getting took from me for a case that was in 2017 is beyond me. Because if you go in the records, everybody knew about that case from the start. I made it apparent that I had that case from the start when I first had her in custody. The violence and the cantankerousness and cussing and pick up and drop off, we're in front of a police station. Everything's documented on app close. Everything's recorded. So if they have so much proof and they have so much accusations, I would just like the evidence to be presented instead of somebody doing hearsay. The evidence that I brought today is hospital records. These are hospital records stating that my daughter made an outcry on her own with me and my wife in another room. I'm not sitting here saying, hey, look, I'm the one that sit there and called CPS, which I didn't. The social workers and the doctors at South Austin Hospital are the ones that made the report and told me to drive my daughter to Dale's Children's Hospital, which I did. Any parent in their right mind having a 4-year-old come to them and have their lower regions, back, arms, whatever shaved would bring a red light. Like, why are you shaving a child? There's no excuse for you to shave a child at all. I just can't even fathom why a child advocate would sit there and FaceTime my child and be like, hey, did your mom shave you because it hurt? Because you were bothered down there? Like, I just don't understand. And it's beyond me. And all I ask is, I don't mind her going to live with her mom. I don't mind her staying with her mom, having visits. I know those are going to occur. I don't mind having a ad litem attorney. I just want somebody that's going to listen to me. I just want somebody that's going to sit there and document when I'm talking on app close and I got somebody calling me a B word and crossing me out and telling me that I'm nothing, this and that, and I'm abuser. And then when I come to court, they're like, yes, he did this, he did that, he did that. And I've been doing everything right. I have a roof over my head, my kids, I have 5 kids, one of them special needs. I mean, I'm doing everything right that I'm supposed to do. I don't understand how Jacob Lopez with 0 CPS records comes over to the court today to fend for his daughter, to fight to see his daughter. There's many men out there that's not even a father, and I'm sitting here doing 120%, even more to be there for my daughter, and yet I'm getting scrutinized as if I'm a beater and I'm an accuser and I'm the offender. I am not the offender. I'm a father that's trying to take care of his daughter and just speak and then let her speak. Those were her words. Those weren't Jacob's words. If you look at every documentation, if Tiffany Bartlett went to the hospital, she would see every documentation in which everybody she talked to, and it says my daughter talked to him on their own. My daughter was in there with a social worker, with a doll, by themselves While my wife was talking to another social worker, and she's pointing at private areas saying, my mom touched me here. My mom shaved me here, here, here. These are words that are coming out of my daughter's mouth, not my mouth. That's all I have to say, sir. Sorry about that.
All right, Ms. Bartlett, we're back to you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Lopez, during the CPS case last year in 2022, there was an active warrant for assault family violence by you perpetrated against Miss Rivera. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And you were arrested based on that active warrant, and you pled guilty to assault family violence in January of this year. Isn't that correct?
Yes, the crime was committed in 2017, though. You're portraying it like if I did it this year. You're leading it on like if I did it this year. That was 2017. It was a case that I was fighting for. You told me that I couldn't have custody of my daughter if I was on the ongoing.
Non-responsive.
Sustained.
Mr. Lopez,
She did.
you repeatedly made excuses and made up stories over and over and over again during the CPS portion of the case when Miss Rivera was supposed to have visits with Gisela. Isn't that correct?
No, ma'am.
You repeatedly failed to produce Gisela and violated numerous court orders that were concerning to CASA, to CPS, and to other parties involved in the case. Isn't that correct?
No, ma'am.
You took Gisela out of daycare and unenrolled her. Isn't that correct? When she was in your primary care.
She had a tooth that went through her mouth and she wasn't being watched. And you have documentation of that.
Sir, did you take her out of daycare? Yes or no?
Due to neglect, yes.
And you also moved numerous times during the course of, well, over the last 2 years, you've moved on at least 5 different occasions. Isn't that correct, sir?
Not 5 different occasions. You're over exaggerating, ma'am.
You have also been evicted. Isn't that correct?
No, ma'am. The eviction had something to do with the landlord and what was going on. I don't see no relevance to this. Because every address I stated, I gave you proof of.
Mr. Lopez, when Gisela was recently exchanged with you on that Friday, you sent text messages regarding concerns that she was shaved on a small portion of her lower back. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then approximately 3 days later, you added that she had been shaved over her entire body and had healing cuts, despite not mentioning that on the Friday when you mentioned the original concerns. Isn't that correct, sir?
The doctor noticed it and put it to, as you can read here, the doctor noticed it and put it to my attention. So I text you and noted to you. I text you Friday and asked you to come down and visit her.
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Mr. Lopez, isn't it true that you waited several days to say that, oh, she's been shaved everywhere, not just on her lower back,
No.
but she has healing cuts as well? Isn't that true, sir?
No, ma'am. You didn't respond to me. I was waiting for your response.
Mr. Lopez, isn't it also true that you indicated that you waited 3 days to take Gisela to see a doctor, despite the fact that she apparently was making outcries of sexual abuse? Isn't that correct, sir?
On a Sunday night, she made an outcry. On Monday, I took her. That's when I took her. When she made the outcry, that's when I took her. That's when it became severe. My stepdaughter had heard her.
Sir, to whom did she make the outcry of sexual abuse?
My 17-year-old stepdaughter, who wants to testify.
Okay. Have you spoken with the detective involved in that case, sir?
Many times. I talked to him since Friday, since I tried to get a hold of you Friday, all the way till what we called ARC Friday. So I tried to contact him to Friday. I contacted him to what, Monday? All the way till I talked to you, till you kept repeating to me to return Gisela.
Who is that in the background? We keep hearing someone talking.
That is my wife.
Is that your wife, Wanda?
Yes.
And Wanda is the individual who took Giselle to the hospital, isn't that correct? Not you.
Yes.
Why did only Wanda take your daughter to the hospital?
I'm at work.
Where were you at work, sir?
I work for towing. Well, what do you mean, where am I work? I work for a towing company, BitLocks. I also work for CDS.
So you were at work during the entire time she was in the hospital on that Monday a few weeks ago, is that correct?
Majority of the time, yes. I was there from what, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 9 to 7.
Mr. Lopez, do you think it's appropriate for Gisela to be given answers by your wife when she's being asked questions about her behavior, any concerns she might have about her physical appearance? Do you think it's appropriate for your wife to answer instead of Gisela answering for herself?
I don't understand where you're getting this information from. Where is it?
Mr. Lopez, please answer, please listen to my question. Do you think it's appropriate for Gisela to be told what to say by your wife, Wanda, when she is asked questions?
I don't think it's appropriate for anybody to answer any child.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Rivera, this is your last opportunity to ask questions or provide other testimony. Do you have any other information you wish to provide? You're muted, ma'am.
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Lopez, we're coming back to you for the last time, and this is your opportunity again to either provide additional testimony at this point.
Talking about, you were supposed to thoroughly investigate. It just seems to me that she has this biased opinion about me crying wolf, and anything that I say, whether it be real or not, is just goes in one ear and out the other. And that's not, I don't think that's safe for me or my daughter. I don't think that's safe for anyone. I don't think that's safe for any child being underneath her care. I think that every case and every situation should be thoroughly looked at and investigated. And I mean, the communication needs to be both ways. To me, it seems honestly that I'm in this courtroom by myself, and I feel like that she's advocating for. I think that she's not Gisela's lawyer. I think she's advocating for Sela, and she's Sela's lawyer. And I just really feel like my rights are being violated, and I need a chance to speak up. I need a chance to be heard, and I need a chance for my evidence to be brought to the table. My daughter needs justice. She needs safety. I mean, the whole thing that's wrapped around this is my daughter. Not once can she prove or put to the table of something that I did. It's all allegations. Everything that I bring to the table, I have actual hospital records where it's stating my daughters are making these outcries. I'm not making the outcries. I just don't understand how this is. I feel like the system's failing my daughter. The Gisela is here. When it comes to communication, I give her communication. When I kept Gisela, APD had my address. The social workers had my address. I gave Tiffany Barley my address. I told her multiple times to come visit Gisela. She said due to me leaving multiple times, having multiple residents, she didn't feel safe. I'm in a residence. I gave her, she wanted documentation of proof of address. I gave her my lease. So I just don't understand how I just became some big criminal or some big threat against my daughter, who I love to death and she loves me. That's all I have to say, sir. Sorry.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right, Ms. Bartlett, the relief you're asking for in your petition.
Yes, Your Honor. I am asking that Mr. Brigido Jacob Lopez be granted one visit per month on the third weekend for a period of up to 4 hours, supervised by an entity or an organization that is licensed to supervise contact between parents and children, or by a therapist who is qualified to observe interactions between parents and children or another professional supervisor approved by myself and Ms. Rivera. Your Honor, it is deeply concerning that these allegations began when my client was returned to her mother. They have repeatedly increased in severity and intensity. And at this time, I do not believe that my client is safe in the unsupervised care of her father. And I would ask that the recommendations of the child's therapist, who has an ongoing long-term relationship with Gisela, be honored, and that Mr. Lopez be granted supervised visits, and that we come back to court for a review hearing in approximately 3 months. And hopefully at that time, the therapist can testify about whether or not it's in Gisela's best interest for visits to go back to unsupervised or to continue as supervised. Because at this time, the therapist has expressed deep concerns about what may be going on in Mr. Lopez's home. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. The I'm looking at what was admitted as Petitioner's Exhibit 1. That's the summary of therapeutic progress filed by the Nalida, I guess it is, Nalida something Martin, who is the child's therapist. The recommendation from the therapist is under recommendation number 3 that Mr. Lopez should have supervised visitation and for a period of time, although it's somewhat undecided. Ms. Rivera, I saw it in here somewhere, and I apologize, I can't lay my hands on it right now, but how often is Ms. Martin seeing Gisela?
Once a week.
Fine. For some reason, I thought I was seeing it as once a month.
No.
At this point. So, all right.
She goes every week on Tuesdays at 3 o'clock.
Okay. All right. I'm going to grant the relief requested at this time. I will order supervised visitation at Abilene, Taylor County, 4 hours on the 3rd Saturday of each month.
I'm not doing it.
It will be Treehouse Center is the entity. That number is, they have a website. Their number is 325-518-5355. And if they are not capable of scheduling to meet that 3rd Saturday of the month, the alternate will be Rake and Associates, R-A-K-E. They are also the Abilene Family Court supervisors as well. Let me go ahead and note for purposes of the record that Mr. Lopez has, number 1, indicated he will not exercise those visits, and he is disconnected from the courtroom at this point in time. So, Ms. Bartlett, you need to prepare an order and for either Treehouse Center and in the alternative Rake and Associates. Both of them are Abilene court-approved supervisors.
Yes,
Okay.
Your Honor, I'll do that. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Your Honor. Bye.